Hello and welcome to this briefing from the Spencer Teaching School Hub. In this briefing we're going to cover one of the specialist NPQs, and in particular the NPQ on leading teaching. So the aims of this session are to run through why you might decide that you want to look at an NPQ, particularly in leading teaching. We'll look at a very quick comparison between this specialist NPQ in leading teaching and the NPQ in leading teacher development. You'll find more information on the Education Development Trust website, and I've linked that into the video on here so that you can click on that and it'll take you to the brochure, particularly around this specialist NPQ. So with all the NPQs, there's a golden thread running through them. So it goes right from initial teacher training through the new ECF framework, right through all the NPQs, and all the NPQs follow the same format, which is a learn that and learn how to. You can see the reformed NPQs come into two particular categories, that being the specialist NPQs, this being one of them, and the reformed leadership NPQs of the reformed NPQ SL, NPQ H and NPQ EL. So we briefly touched upon the fact of the format of this thread that runs through all the qualifications. This is one particular element from the NPQ in leading teaching, and you can see that it's got the learn that and learn how to. I've pulled out the module 3 on how pupils learn, and you can see within this there's some really exciting elements. So we've got a lot around cognitive architecture, things like prior knowledge, and how prior knowledge and misconceptions might develop, and you can start to see how delving into this into more detail and applying it to your particular context would be really impactful on the pupils and students within our schools. The specialist NPQs are structured all in the same way. They all have 5 blocks of learning. They will have 2 face-to-face sessions, one in block 1 and one in block 5. They have 4 online webinars, and then there's some recorded webinars and self-study. And I'm hoping this little table on here starts to let you think about how you might spend the time and how that fits in as you're looking at whether to study for this NPQ or not. So the NPQ leading teaching, the audience is teachers who have or are aspiring to have responsibility for leading teaching in a subject, year group, key stage or phase. So that might be history across the school, or it might be a particular year group that you are looking for, or you might be looking to be an assistant principal or vice principal for leading teaching. So why would you consider particularly undertaking the NPQ in leading teaching? Well, it's a really exciting qualification, and it links very much to our day-to-day role in terms of a linkage to the teaching standards. It'll give you plenty of opportunity on the course to develop colleagues within your educational setting and discuss how pairs are going around that developmental role, so you can share good practice. It'll include subject and phase specific course material to be able to tailor it really to your need and back into your educational setting again. And we've had so many changes very recently, and this course is completely up to date and reflects both current and relevant challenges, and gives some solutions and allows you to discuss with colleagues around what they're doing within their setting as well around those challenges. So the outline of this course, as we've already seen, has 5 blocks of learning. That the course is a 12-month duration course, and it's 55 hours of study. And that table that we had on it previously showed you how those 55 hours were split over that 12-month duration. To dive deeper into the Learn That, Learn How To, the links on the bottom here, which links directly to the NPQ Leading Teacher Framework, full outline of the course, and I suggest that you start to have a look at that and look at what really excites you about this NPQ. So that document we've just looked at of the NPQ leading teaching syllabus, you can see on here that you've got 9 different elements in it, and just from looking at that I'm sure that some of you will see and think this is exactly the qualification for me. I'm really interested in learning a little bit more about adaptive teaching or implementation or assessment. So that they're the titles that's within this. So a few nuggets to share around the NPQ leading teaching about what makes this a really exciting qualification. So first of all, it has an ethos of shared responsibility for pupil outcome, and it aligns the professional development that you're going to be looking at with school priorities, and that's absolutely essential. It has a focus on workload management and colleagues and how you can bring in changes, with really having that critical eye on workload management as well. And it brings in the concepts of expert conversations such as a coaching strategy. It uses reliable data and allows you to plan strategically to do that, and it very importantly looks at how to start a project maybe in a small scale way, and then how you scale that up to really maximise impact. So the cost and scholarship details are contained on this slide. It's not a qualification that everyone's going to be able to access in terms of scholarship, and if you're unsure about whether your school falls within the top 30 percentile for pupil premium, then please drop us an email at the Spencer Teaching School Hub and we'll be able to help with that. If your scholarship criteria is not met, then the cost per delegate is £875. So I thought it'd be really useful just to put side by side the two qualifications, leading teacher development and leading teaching, because certainly in name they sound very similar. So just to reiterate, all these specialist NPQs have 5 blocks of learning. That's leading improvement, underpinning, developing others, furthering your specialism, and then embedding that practice. But within each of one of those blocks, there will be different material to specialise it to those 3 specialist NPQs. So the leading teacher development, leading teaching, and behaviour and culture. But you can see how the material that's within those blocks is made up within the table on here. So between leading teacher development and leading teaching, you've got both teaching and implementation, which is in common, but the leading teacher development is very much focused on designing and delivering effective practice, whereas the leading teaching is around what's making that great teaching, things like how pupils learn, adaptive teaching and assessment, although it also does have in there that professional development module as well. So hopefully that's helpful in putting those side by side. So what might be your next steps now? So review the different NPQs, whether it's the specialist NPQ or one of the leadership NPQs. You've got some information here. There's some leaflets and booklets that we've sent out, and there's some information on our YouTube channel. Once you've decided on which NPQ programme you'd like to study, then the DFE portal where the individual teacher registers which NPQ that they would like, and there's a walkthrough of how to use that portal, and you can click here to find that on there. As you register, it'll ask you who your lead provider is, and Spencer Teaching School Hub is working with Education Development Trust. So could we just ask that you select Education Development Trust as your lead provider, please? So on the final slide here, we've got some useful links. So we've got the overview of the reformed NPQs and some information where you can click in on there. Education Development Trust has got some great information on its website, including individual leaflets for each of the NPQs, which you can find lots of information on. The portal for NPQ registration and the walkthrough of how to access that portal and what you need to fill in when you get there is also linked through. And then finally, any help that we can give or anything, questions that we haven't answered, please do email us or contact us, and the email directly for NPQ support is on the bottom there. And I hope you really enjoy looking through the different NPQs. They are really exciting. There's some great changes in there, and I hope you find one that suits your needs, and thank you for listening.